All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a total forensic breakdown of an ancient mythological collapse. We're zeroing in on the tragedy of King Nala of the Nishahadas. So, how exactly does a powerful, virtuous leader lose literally everything? You know, it's almost never one giant explosion. As our source material shows us, it's a meticulously structured, step-by-step collapse. If you're fascinated by how systems and people just fall apart at the seams, you are absolutely in the right place.
Which brings us to the absolute core mystery here. How on earth did a great king lose his entire empire over unwashed feet? I know, it sounds totally absurd, right? But definitely hold on to that thought as we go through this, because this tiny, seemingly random detail, it's the absolute key to a massive systemic tragedy. It is the microscopic crack that brings the whole fortress crashing down.
Now, to really understand that crack, we gotta look at the ancient terminology. The text tells us this malicious entity, Kali, was always watching for a hole. Now, in this context, a hole isn't some literal pit in the ground, right? It's a vulnerability. Honestly, think of it like a zero-day exploit in cybersecurity. It's a microscopic lapse in discipline that just lets unseen malice slip right in. In this text, a hole represents that fatal, fleeting second when our guard drops. Kali wasn't trying to kick down Nala's front door. He was literally just waiting for him to forget to lock it.
So, that brings us to Section 1, the 12-year stakeout. Just look at the terrifying scale of this timeline. For 12 whole years, Kali just waits in the country of the Nishadas. 12 years of intense observation. I mean, he's essentially staking out a bathroom break. Then, on one specific day, Nala answers the call of nature. Maybe he's in a rush or just distracted, you know? He touches water, he says his twilight prayers, but he completely forgets to wash his feet first. Boom, that is the hole. And the payoff is immediate. The very millisecond that 12 years stakeout meets that 1 second lapse in hygiene, Kali enters Nala's person.
The text actually states it super plainly, and it was through this omission that Kali entered his person. Notice what's totally missing here. There's no epic battle of wills, no huge physical struggle, no grand clash of magic, none of that. It is entirely about exploiting a tiny, seemingly harmless mistake, an omission. That was literally all it took.
Which leads us to Section 2, a supernatural conspiracy.
All right, let's break down the actual mechanics of this trap, because it plays out like a supernatural heist. It's a 3-step conspiracy. Step 1, Kali is now inside King Nala, pulling the strings from within. But for Step 2, Kali needs an outside guy, an external agent, so he recruits this guy named Pushkara. He basically promises Pushkara guaranteed victory and the whole kingdom if he just challenges Nala to a game of dice. And then Step 3 is where the trap just snaps shut. A second supernatural entity, Dwapara, physically turns into the principal die itself, a die called Vrisha. So the game is fundamentally rigged from the start. Nala isn't just sitting down for game night, he is walking blindfolded into a supernatural ambush.
But think about it. How do you actually get a powerful, warlike king to just gamble his life away? Well, the text gives us the crucial answer. Challenged in the presence of Queen Damayanti, the lofty-minded king could not decline the game. See, Kali doesn't just use magic, he weaponizes Nala's own noble traits against him. He leverages the king's pride, his lofty-mindedness, and, crucially, his ego, right in front of his wife, Queen Damayanti. To back down from a challenge in front of her? Unthinkable for a warrior king. His absolute greatest strengths are exactly what chain him to that table.
Moving on to Section 3, the failed intervention. Once those dice start rolling, the descent is just incredibly rapid, and it is brutal. First, Nala loses his stakes in gold, then silver, then the royal cars and the teams of animals that pull them. He even gambles away his royal robes. The text explicitly describes him as being maddened at dice. He's totally consumed by it. And the real tragedy here? His friends are standing right there, watching this unfold in real time, but nobody can dissuade this great repressor of foes from the exact game that's destroying him. This whole crisis pushes us to this agonizing emotional climax. On one side, you've got Nala's entire support system. Loyal citizens, chief councillors, Queen Damayanti herself, just completely overwhelmed with grief, practically out of their minds. They rush to the gate, they're urging for an interview, begging to see their king to snap him out of this nightmare. And his response? The king, fully possessed by Kali, utters not a single word in reply to his queen. It is chilling. It so brilliantly captures the isolating, terrifying nature of addiction and affliction.
The whole kingdom is practically screaming for him, and he just stares in cold, possessed silence.
And that brings us to our final chapter, Section 4, The Endless Game.
He liveth not. That is the absolute chilling conclusion drawn by Nala's most loyal subjects. After hitting that wall of deafening silence from their king, the councillors and the citizens are just crushed by profound grief and shame. They literally turn their backs, walk back to their homes, and declare, "He liveth not." As far as they're concerned, the noble king they loved is already gone. The guy rolling the dice? Just a shell being operated by the disease that possessed him. And the final agony of the source material doesn't give us any quick resolution either. The text states, "For many months Nala and Pushkara gambled together, the virtuous Nala being always worsted." Month after month, this rigged, supernatural game just stretches on with absolutely zero relief. The virtuous king is stripped of his wealth, his dignity, his entire support system, just trapped in this endless loop of defeat. And it is entirely because of a trap set 12 years prior, triggered by one single, fleeting moment of forgotten discipline.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. We've just broken down this ancient allegory of downfall, addiction, and total self-sabotage. But if a 12-year stakeout can successfully exploit a single unwashed foot, what tiny vulnerabilities are we ignoring in our own lives? Seriously, where are the microscopic holes in our own routines, our own discipline, that we brush off as harmless but might actually be leaving the front door wide open? It's definitely something to think about. Keep examining the structures in your life, stay focused, and I'll catch you guys in the next explainer.